Good day everyone, I am Zhiella de Castro and today I will discuss project supply chains to a different set of challenges and customer order. An American technology research and advisory firm considers demand planning accuracy at the top of the list of key supply chain performance indicators. Demand planning is becoming more sophisticated. Powerful statistical tools can model consumer demand patterns, while demand shaping and demand sensing are on the rise and placing demand planning in a more proactive position with the markets. This development yields service working capital benefits in supply chain, which use forecasts to set inventory levels, commonly known as make-to-stock supply chains. The emphasis on demand planning resonates strongly with companies that must respond very quickly to consumer market forces with immediate fulfillment of B2B orders from retailers or B2C orders through omni-channels. Project supply chains are often forgotten when we discuss today's supply chain trends. Project supply chains are chains that provide products that are for unique customer and must be configured or even designed from scratch. And think of a new power station, an airplane, or a telecommunications network, but they are a big part of global trade. If we look at 2015 Fortune 500 classification by sector, the companies that could be considered to have significant part of their revenue derived through project supply chains such as General Electric and being account for about 12% of the total revenue of the list. It's worth taking a closer look at the dynamics and changes of planning in a project environment and how companies can be successful with this approach. And project supply chains to a different set of challenge. Customers' orders project supply chains are strikingly different from make-to-stock supply chains. Rather than dozens of retailers and millions of consumers, in project supply chains there are only a handful of customers in the demand profile. They are the result of months or even years of binds and negotiations. Statistical models don't apply as readily when there isn't a mass from which to draw wisdom, and it is difficult to try and make sense of historical data that are drawn simply as assumptions and conclusions from it. The only way to choose potential projects is to have close collaboration with the commercial teams. So that's all. Thank you for listening.
Good day everyone. Sales and operation planning. Companies are increasingly investing in their safety, process and tools. Then Gartner, an American technology research and advisory firm, considered demand planning accuracy as the top of the list. Demand planning is becoming more sophisticated and then powerful statistical tools can model consumer demand pattern, while demand shaping and demand sensing are on the rise and are placing demand planning in a more proactive position with the market. These developments will yield service and working capital benefits in supply chain, which use forecasts to set inventory levels, and then commonly known as make-to-stock supply chains. Next one, demand planning and S&OP. As each project is different, The scenario analysis for determining the cost and risk associated with each project needs input all the way up the supply chain, including the vendors. And as the project supply chains are complex and multinational, this is a big challenge. Why? The role of demand planning in the S&OP process is also fundamentally different. The demand plan is not used to set as the target stock level that supply must strive to reach. Also, it is not used to identify short-term service issues. This is because the order portfolio acts as both the short-term to medium-term expression of demand as well as the driver of short-term priorities. Next, the S&OP process is more focused on the allocation of scarce resources on a global scale. It looks at common component of available capacity instead of the most of energy being invested into getting the forward projection, right, as well as short-term priorities. Effort should be placed on ongoing orders and long-term potential activities. Next, lead time. In project supply chain, another big challenge is determining the lead time commitment in the bid. The lead time is not constant. It is a function of the current load of projects on the factory network, which can be highly variable. This is different than make-to-stock, when typically where it is a standard lead time to negotiate a promotional campaign, and there is a less need for visibility into production loads and capability. That's what we call lead time. And then the next one, the obsolescence. From the perspective of the factory, there may be an upside to anticipating production, aligning with the production of similar but unrelated projects. But this can create for a project supply chain. The size and complexity of the projects, along with the fact that they are often negotiated with public institutions, means that things can be changed even after the order has been signed. If production is anticipated, the supply risk generates huge obsolete inventory risk. Given the inflated lead times, the chance of the occurring is higher than in make-to-stock supply chain, which are under constant pressure to be reactive. Next, a different set of needs. Make-to-stock and project supply chains are indeed distinct. So that's all, and thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Aleah PITARGUE from Group 3. How to build the perfect supply chain team. Your supply chain team have team members that will handle one or more, ranging from purchasing and production planning to contract management and customer service. At some small companies, there might be one person who handles all of those functions under the broad umbrella of supply chain management. The first thing you will need to know to consider when you're building perfect supply chain team is its size. The number of people on your team is typically driven by budget. Supply chain functions. To build the perfect supply chain team, each team member needs to know its roles and responsibilities, and to get started in assigning those roles and responsibilities, you need to lay them out somewhat sequentially. Sourcing, contract management, supplier management, purchasing, freight coordination, warehouse management, item master control, inventory control, production planning, and customer service. The requirements of every supply chain is unique, and depending on what your company does, some of these supply chain functions might be more aligned than others. Supply chain functional alignment. If, for example, your company sells a limited number of stock-keeping units or discrete items, sometimes abbreviated as SKUs, then it may make sense to have the same person manage warehouse management, item master control, inventory control, or if your company only sources from a limited number of suppliers, especially new suppliers or suppliers in other countries, it might make sense to align supply chain responsibilities for sourcing, supplier management, purchasing, but functional alignment is not the only way to develop roles and responsibilities for your company chain team. Customer or product alignment. Some business units find it advantageous to align supply chain responsibilities with a discrete product or customers. This might make sense, for example, if you have product that you sell to only one or just a handful customers. Let's say your company sells product A to customer X and sells product B to customer Y. And your company sources product A from supply 1 and product B from supplier 2. That might create two discrete or cradle-to-grave supply chain flows in which you can assign supply chain pro Jill to product A and supply chain pro Jack to product B. In this case, Jack and Jill could potentially manage sourcing, supplier management, purchasing, customer service. Others in your supply chain team can manage the functions shared by product A and product B. Example, freight, inventory, warehousing, production planning, and item master.
Good day everyone, my name is Shaina PLAZA from BSA 3A. Planning. The process of accurately planning a materials or a product's journey from basic materials to the final consumer. Supply planning, demand planning, production planning, distribution planning, operations, and sales planning are all part of this process. The first step in planning is to determine the specifics of your operation strategy. The first step is to decide if you manufacture your product domestically or globally, as well as whether you build the full thing yourself or buy some components elsewhere. Both have advantages and disadvantages. Therefore, this should be done strategically. This is the forward-looking process of coordinating assets in order to maximize the delivery of goods, services, and information from supplier to customer while balancing supply and demand. Sourcing. Sourcing is the process of discovering vendors who will procure goods and services in the most effective and efficient manner to meet future demands. This must occur at the greatest possible price, at the best possible time, and in the best possible number. All vendor must be thoroughly researched and all contract must be negotiated in order to obtain the best value without losing quality. The timing of deliveries is also crucial. Make. This is where the activities of assembly, testing, and packing take place. Establishing guidelines for performance measurement, data storage, product facilities, and regulatory compliance are all part of these steps. Products are made at this level. It entails planning the production, testing, ensuring that compliance standards are met, packing, storage, and distribution. Multiple machines are likely to be involved, especially in larger businesses which increasingly utilizing technologies like LOT or LOT and AI to improve efficiency.
Good afternoon, Sir Omlas. I'm Sunshine OCAMPO. My report is about deliver. Another most important component of supply chain management is contributing to direct or indirect integration with the consumers. It has a significant contribution to surge the brand image of the firm. Finished goods and services, as demanded by consumers, have to meet expectation through the company's delivery channels and logistics services. To have a seamless delivery, the firm utilizes various freights, road, air, and rail. My example is local businesses have a massive opportunity to increase their sales by offering local delivery directly to their customers. In fact, plenty realized this during the initial COVID-19 lockdowns when they had to offer direct-to-consumer delivery to simply stay afloat. But even as the lockdowns loosened, many of these businesses choose to keep offering local delivery. Their new service had been a hit amongst new customers and loyal customers. The next one is return. It is a post-delivery customer support process that is associated with all kinds of return products. It is also known as reverse logistics. It is one of the most important components of supply chain management to minimize potential deterioration of relationship with customers. On the flip side, this process provides the same course of action for the firm towards its suppliers. The firm returns the low quality, defective, expired, or excessive raw materials to the suppliers or vendors. My example is the product was damaged or defective. Accidents in shipping are always possible. And if you send out a pristine item, the worst can happen and it can arrive in 1,000 pieces. If you get a lot of feedback about broken items, reevaluate your packing procedure and take better steps to protect your products. Defective merchandise is another matter and serves as a reminder that you should inspect your inventory and try to weed out any products that meet the description. If a large number of your products are being returned as defective, take a close look at your means of warehousing, as temperature, moisture, and other environmental factors can damage many types of merchandise, depending on what you sell. You might also have access to batch or lot numbers, in which case you might be able to identify defective products as all coming from a particular lot or shipment.
Good day everyone, I am Rhensel and I will discuss about demand management. Demand management is the supply chain management process that balances the customer's requirements with the capability of the supply chain. With the right process in place, management can match supply with demand proactively and execute the plan with minimal disruptions. The process is not limited to forecasting. It includes synchronizing supply and demand, increasing flexibility, and reducing variability. Demand management consists of 3 parts. The first one is demand planning. Demand planning is the process of forecasting demand to make sure products can be reliably delivered. Effective demand planning can improve the accuracy of revenue forecasts, align inventory levels with peaks and troughs in demand, and enhance profitability for a particular channel or product. The second one is merchandise planning. Merchandise planning is a systematic approach to planning, buying, and selling merchandise to maximize the return on investment or ROI, while simultaneously making merchandise available at the places, times, prices, and quantities that the market demands. The third one is trade promotion planning. It is a marketing technique to increase demand for products in retail stores based on special pricing, display fixtures, demonstration, value-added bonuses, no obligation gifts, and other promotions. Trade promotions help drive short-term consumer demand for products normally sold in retail environments. The next topic is supply management. Supply management is the act of identifying, acquiring, and managing resources and suppliers that are essential to the operations of an organization. It includes the purchase of physical goods, information, services, and any other necessary resources that enable a company to continue operating and growing. Supply management is made up of 5 areas. Number 1 is supply planning. It determines how best to fulfill the requirements created from the demand plan. The objective is to balance supply and demand in a manner that achieves the financial and service objectives of the enterprise. The second one is production planning. Production planning addresses the production and manufacturing modules within a company. It considers the resource allocation of employees, materials, and of production capacity. Production or supply planning consists of number 1, supplier management and collaboration. Number 2 is production scheduling. The next one is inventory planning. Inventory planning determines the optimal quantity and timing of inventory to align it with sales and production needs. The next one is capacity planning. Capacity planning determines the production, staff, and equipment needed to meet the demand for products. The last one is distribution planning and network planning. Oversees the movement of goods from a supplier or manufacturer to the point of sale. Distribution management is an overarching term that refers to processes such as packaging, inventory, warehousing, supply chain, and logistics. Sales and Operation Planning or NSOP. Sales and Operations Planning is a monthly integrated business management process that empowers leadership to focus on key supply chain drivers including sales, marketing, demand management, production, inventory management, and new product introduction. With an eye of financial and business impact, the goal of S&OP is to enable executives to make better informed decisions through a dynamic connection of plans and strategies across the business. Often repeated on a monthly basis, S&OP enables effective supply chain management and focuses the resources of an organization on delivering what their customers need while staying profitable.
Good day, my name is Ericka CASTALONE. Production Portfolio Management. Production portfolio management is the process from creating a product, idea creation, to market introduction. A company must have an exit strategy for its product when it reaches the end of its profitable life or in case the product doesn't sell well. Production portfolio management includes new product introduction, end-of-life planning, cannibalization planning, commercialization and ramp planning, contribution margin analysis, portfolio management, and the last one is brand, portfolio, and platform planning. And what is supply chain management best practices? To succeed in a growing global market, you need a supply chain that's connected from start to finish across your enterprise and beyond. Here are the steps that we recommended to achieve to connect supply chain planning. Unify supply chain planning with enterprises planning. A vital second step is connecting traditionally sealed supply chain planning to sales and operation planning and financial planning. Companies can benefit from synchronizing their short-term operational planning with their wider business planning processes to make real-time updates to inventory, forecast, and supply. Deploying real-time solution that enable enterprises-wide collaboration means that key stakeholder across the business can create new scenarios and quickly assess how to use their resources to optimize profitability when an unforeseen event happens. And that's all. Thank you.